before we begin. Oh no! Someone gave Chris Sky a microphone. We got problems. I don't think they have enough police today. Come on everybody, let's get in the middle of the street. I like that, I like that.
Yeah. Give him some space, give him some space. Make a circle, make a circle.
We can't go too close to the speaker. We're going to stay here in the street. We're going to let everybody catch up. And then we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on in Montreal today. Everybody, we need every single nursing point. If that doesn't signify the light at the end of the tunnel, I don't know what is. Last year at this time, I was screaming, I was begging, I was pleading with Canadians to understand what was really going on, to wake up to the reality that COVID and our restrictions and our lockdown have nothing to do with our safety and the health of our family, but everything to do with control and restructuring our country in a way where the government no longer serves you, the government rules you. That was 2020, ladies and gentlemen. 2020, I introduced United Non-Compliance. It's the notion that we all come together, regardless of age, gender, ethnicity, social status, political affiliation, whether you're a government, law enforcement, civilian, a criminal. We all have rights. And those rights are essential not only to our livelihoods, but essential to any content society anywhere in the world. Canada is an amazing country because of these rights and freedoms. Our government will go around the world preaching about how Canada is so special because of our rights and freedoms. But here I am simply telling Canadians to respect their rights and freedoms and assert their rights and freedoms. And I'm dubbed a domestic terrorist. I was put on the terror watch list. I was put on a no-fly list because I was supposed to go to Calgary and give a speech to let Canadians know that they have rights, they have freedoms, that they have the ability to just say no. And the government responded as they do in tyrannical, lawless, communist-style dictatorships. And they put me on a no-fly list, which is reserved for terrorists. Like I was going around the country trying to blow up buildings rather than give people hope and inspiration. They should have been applauding me, advocating for rights and freedoms, the thing that makes our country great, not trying to stop me. But what happened? Every time they do something to me, not only does it wake up more people, but I find a way to turn it to my advantage. So I couldn't fly to Calgary, so what did I do? I jumped in my Range Rover and I drove all the way across Canada. In each province I went through, in each city I stopped, they had the single biggest COVID rally since the start of COVID, because me coming there, me as one man driving across the nation, showing you can make a difference, inspired thousands and thousands of people to come out of their homes and come out of their slumber and come out and support the cause. And everywhere we went, the crowds got bigger and they got more happy, more hopeful. We had support of the law enforcement, we had support of local officials, and it was absolutely fantastic. To the point where the people in Vancouver, literally, I got inundated with so many calls and requests to go to Vancouver. I drove all the way there too, said screw it. And we had an event on 4/20, right after the marijuana event, and it was fantastic. It was on the beach, and I had probably one of the best times I've had since COVID. And that day, a man by the name of Kyle Cardinal contacted me, and he came up with the idea of not allowing me to drive back across the country alone. He wanted me to have a convoy. So we came up with the Freedom Convoy. And we had dozens of cars and hundreds of people following in United Non-Compliance and stopping in every small town, in every big city. And when we would go to a small town, the town might have 2,500 people. but 200 or 300 people would show up to see us from the 10 minutes that we were stopping for gas or whatever it was. We're talking about a large portion of the entire population.
Yes.
The small towns is where we can make a difference at the local level instantaneously. So that's why they can't be overlooked. That's why them putting me on the no-fly list was the best thing that ever happened to me, because I got to wake up exponentially more people. I got to see all the different provinces. I got to see the strengths and weaknesses of our different Canadians, and I got to see how best to help the country move forward, because now everybody's awake. Last year was the awakening, the evolution of the human consciousness, waking up to the idea that this is about control and not about our health or safety. So now we're in 2021 and everybody has finally caught on. So now we're in phase 2 of united non-compliance, and phase 2 is taking action. Action, organization, and implementation. I mean, look around. We have numbers. We have hundreds of thousands of people out here. So what groups do we need that can take action today? And I've been doing this in every city across the country. So these groups have already been created in the other countries and they're already growing. So it's time for you guys to catch up. The first group, and this is extremely important, this is probably the most important of all the groups, our small business owners. Ladies and gentlemen, there's nothing more essential to our economy than our small businesses. 97% of all businesses in Canada are small business. 70% of all the jobs in Canada come from small business. Small business owners and their employees represent the middle class of Canada, the backbone of our economy, and that is why the government is trying to break our back. They want to put you out of work. They want to increase unemployment. Why? Because they don't care. They don't care if the economy crashes. They'll just borrow more money. That's why they created universal basic income. They want to put as many people out of work as possible. Why? Because when you own that business and you employed those people, you were all independent. You all stood on your own 2 feet. You all made your own money. You all could just say no. The moment they close your business, you're collecting a check from the government to feed your family and to survive. They can tell you things like, take the vaccine or you don't get your paycheck. And you don't have a choice. You no longer could just say no. So do they have a vested interest in putting as many people out of work as possible? Of course they do. Because all they'll do is raise the taxes on everybody else to pay for it. They haven't lost a paycheck. In fact, they gave themselves a raise. Well, they tell you, we're all in this together. Premier Doug Ford in Ontario has an essential business that's making exponential profits during lockdown. He literally makes the stickers for the floor that every business in Canada has to purchase from his company. Must be nice. Imagine you were in power and you could make a law that made every business in Canada buy a product from you and declare yourself essential while you're shutting people down and crying crocodile tears. The people have caught on, and they try to call us conspiracy theorists. Is it a conspiracy theory that we lost hundreds of thousands of businesses and millions of jobs, or did it already happen? Thank you very much. Is it a conspiracy theory that there's a thing called a vaccine passport, and it's already law in places like Israel, in places like New York State, in places like Hungary, and now places like Florida have to draft executive orders to try and block it from implementation? No, it's not a conspiracy theory. It's a very real thing. And it's the culmination of everything they're trying. That's why I created United Non-Compliance. Because everybody, not everybody, the sheep, the mask wearers, the TV watchers, the people that don't know what's going on, they yell and scream at people like us and say, this is getting prolonged because you're not complying. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, it's the exact opposite. We know the end game is a vaccine passport, which is the nullification of our rights and freedoms unless we submit to a medical tyranny. That is their end game. But tyranny doesn't come in one foul swoop. They can't just go from 0 to 10. They got to bring you through steps 1 through 9 first. And we all know what step 1 was. It's just a mask. It's just a mask. Okay, really? It's just a mask perpetuates the idea that there's something to be afraid of. It's just a mask is literally a muzzle of your voice. It's just a mask is showing your unfettered compliance and submission. And most importantly, it's just a mask was only the starting point. What came next? Now it's just a mask and contact tracing. It's just a mask and forced business closure. It's just a mask, forced business closure, contact tracing in 2 weeks. Oh, now it's quarantine. Oh wait, now it's forced testing. Oh wait, now it's a forced quarantine in a government internment facility that you're gonna pay for. Are you out? And now what is it? Now it's a forced inoculation multiple times a year before you can access your right to travel, your right to work, your right to go to a concert, your right to go to a gym. These are no longer rights. Now they're privileges predicated on submitting to a medical tyranny. And that's not what Canada is all about. And you guys even have a curfew here, like children. And why is the government treating you like children? Look around, everybody. Look around. Look at the person beside you. Look at yourself in the mirror. The reason they're doing this is because of you. You're allowing this to happen. Oh, it's still there. If you weren't allowing this to happen, it could not happen. You want proof? Have a look at Florida. Have a look at Texas. You know why they have no masks? You know why they have no restrictions? You know why their case count has plummeted? Because those people are well armed, those people value freedom, and the government knows if they tried to treat them like they're treating Canadians, the people wouldn't put up with it. The people would rise up, stand up, overthrow the government in an hour, and the government would be done for. So what did the government do? They gave the people their freedom back. Why? Because freedom is never given, it's always taken. And when you give up those rights, you're giving up these rights and freedoms that millions of people fought and bled and died for. And you're giving them up on a silver platter because you're afraid and you're told it'll make you safe. And you think they're just going to give them back to you. You think so. You think that vaccine's going to save you. The vaccine that they already tell you, you can still give other people COVID when you get it. You still got to wear a mask after you take it. If you die, you can't sue the manufacturer. Your life insurance company won't even cover you because it's an experimental, not even approved vaccine. But they want to set up a society where you have no choice but to take this garbage multiple times a year, every year for the rest of your life, if you want to be able to live in society. And then, thank you. My sentiments exactly. So ladies and gentlemen, we said we had these groups. The first group is the business owners. And we got people in every city to make as many groups on as many social media platforms regarding small business. Call it Small Business Montreal. Make it on Telegram, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Signal, WhatsApp, etc., etc. Get as many people joining. When you're a business owner, your only task is to join that group and get other people to join that group. And by May 24 weekend, or to our special weekend, I believe it's also called Patriots Day, if I remember correctly. And it's basically the start of our summer. And it's the time when it's time for these lockdowns to end. So all around the country, we're getting businesses to open up on that weekend on their terms without permission from the government. And if you got a couple hundred businesses ready to open, there's nothing they can do but pretend they gave you permission. And I can prove it to you. I was just in Calgary, Alberta. They locked them down again. But the beauty industry, nail salons, hair salons, all of a sudden, they were declared essential. Do you know why they were declared essential? It's not because doing your nails somehow became a vital component of human existence overnight. No, it's because the first time they had tried to lock down, that was the industry that fought back tooth and nail, no pun intended. They said, we will not close. You will not close us. You're going to have to take us all to court and we will fight back. So this time around, the government just said, we don't want to deal with that because they're going to be a catalyst for the other business owners. So what happened when these people stood up for themselves? The government simply declared them essential. So why aren't the rest of you doing the same thing?
I am!
Yes, you are, and I respect that. And you're like 1 out of 1,000, unfortunately. But if everybody did, even a couple hundred, all they can do, just like in Calgary, is pretend they gave permission. So do it. The second group, and this one is important for the future, safety, the health, and the overall potential of your children. You need to get parents together, and by parents I mean mothers and fathers, because you guys, I'm sorry, every time I get a call about concerned parent, it's always a mother, 99% of the time, and I get a lot of phone calls, let me tell you. So men, you got to step up. you didn't just make a baby. You have it now. You got to look after. You got to protect it. You got to protect your family. That's what being a man is about. If we actually had men in this country with a set of balls and a spine, we wouldn't even be in this mess. If everybody acted like me, do you think they would be able to lock you down? If everybody acted like me, do you think they would be able to close your business? Absolutely not. And I have little 5-year-old girls I know that act more like me than the 35-year-old men we have in Canada. And it's disgusting and it's sickening. And I have no problem telling you to your faces. You know why? Because I know you're pussies and you're not going to do anything about it. That's the problem, unfortunately. But I know people are waking up, because when I talk like that, I have people contact me and tell me. Originally, they get upset when they hear it. Then they look at their kids, and they look at themselves in the mirror. And then they call me back, and they apologize. Because they realize that I'm right. That's why they hate me. That's why they want to silence me. That's why they cut off my Instagram of 250,000 people, because they know I'm speaking the truth. And when they are lying to you, they can lie to you with a doctor, they can lie to you with a government official, they can lie to you with a TV. But as soon as someone like me comes and tells you the truth, it resonates. It hits you here. It wakes you up. And once you're awake, you can't go back to sleep. And once you're awake, you'll start waking others up. So that's what they're really scared of. They're not scared that I'm going to be a super spreader at these events and spread COVID far and wide. They're afraid that we're going to super spread the truth. That's the virus that really frightens them, because there's no cure for that. And it is the real vaccine. The truth is the real vaccine. These so-called vaccines they want to sell you are nothing but snake oil. They're going to hurt you, they're going to hurt your family, and they're going to hurt society. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is a fact. So ladies and gentlemen, your second group is the parents, and you're going to come together, and you're going to go to those school boards, and you're going to demand an end to the forced masking of your children and the forced social distancing of your children. Your child cannot learn in that environment. Your child's supposed to go to school happy, healthy, looking around, seeing smiling faces, interaction. This is how they learn. And as soon as you put that mask on them, and as soon as you make them stand on one side, as soon as they have to sit at that desk and not look at their friends, that child is now in a constant state of anxiety and fear. And the only thing they're going to learn is how to be afraid. They're not going to learn math, science, social studies, or how to interact with other human beings. No, they're going to learn how to be isolated. They're going to learn how to follow orders. You're taking your children's potential from here, and you're bringing it down to here. And you should be willing to take a bullet for your children, let alone taking on a school board. Great. And I know this works. They just did it in Arizona 2 days ago. The angry parents went right to the parent board meeting, and they said, we demand masks off our kids. The board said, we're not going to even hear this argument, and they walked out. So you know what the parents did? They elected an entirely new board, and they took over. Guess what? Is it your kids, or is it their kids? Is it your children's future, or their children's future? Are you adults or are you children? You do not ask permission for what's best for your children. You do what's best for your children. So that's the second group. Make Facebook, make Instagram, make Twitter, etc. Concerned Parents Montreal, something along those lines. Get the parents together. Find out who's in your region. Go to the parent-teacher meeting. Make a mess, and you can free your children. The third group, this one's scary as hell. People that don't want to be forcibly vaccinated, especially at work. And this just got a whole lot harder because the government just made a law, unbeknownst to most people, that allows your employer to fire you if you refuse the COVID vaccine. So the sneaky, disgusting government preaches how they will not mandate the vaccine and they can't mandate the vaccine. So they just tell your big corporation to send you a letter in the memo saying that they're mandating the vaccine or you're going to be fired. This is how the government coerces people. This is how the government lies to you. And why do they have to do that? Because they know the vaccine is not in your best interest. That's why they have to coerce you into taking it. So the third group is the concerned employees. Come together, Talk to your unions. They have the legal recourses to help you. People did this against Toyota. People did this against Loblaws. You can do it against your corporation. The laws are on your side. Air Canada as well. They believe that they can get your compliance by trying to isolate you. But if you come together with a few people, you will win that fight. And the last group, this is the easiest one of all. Like, look around. Look how many people we have here. All mask-free. The last group is the mask-free shoppers. How hard is it for you to get 10, 20 people and go grocery shopping without a mask? So the other fucking 100 people in the store see some normality and see people walking around and just doing their shopping like a normal person without a mask. If you do that every other day, a couple of groups of people, all the stores will get so used to it that the employees will stop bothering you, and the other people in the stores will, rather than ostracize you for taking off the mask, they might join you in taking off the mask. This is how we take our country back, ladies and gentlemen. Look how many people are here right now. Why doesn't everybody just go shopping? It's that simple. What are they going to do? What are they going to do? Did the police?
What are they going to do?
Thank you.
Come on, British is my hero.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. No problem. Did the police do anything to anybody here today? And we all know the police in Montreal have been very draconian when it comes to protests. They will assault protesters, they'll hand out arbitrary fines, they'll even make arrests. But why didn't anything happen today? Huh?
Too many people, bro.
Thank you very much, because our gang is bigger than their gang. And guess what? It is every day. It's not like tomorrow all of a sudden they have hundreds of more police and we have hundreds of thousands of less people. No, every day our numbers are growing, and even in the ranks of the police. In Ontario, we have 19 active duty police officers who have come forward and actually sued the government. Why? Because they want to uphold their oath. And their oath, when they became a police officer, was to uphold our Charter of Rights and Freedoms. That is their number one oath. And these emergency orders are designed specifically to make them violate their oath, violate ethical orders, moral orders, truth orders. And it's trying to make a Gestapo out of the police, and it's trying to divide society. And we need to understand that their main weapon is fear, through feeding us lies and propaganda. And that worked on the vast majority of the population. But for the people like us that can see through the lies and see through the propaganda, they gotta play defense. And how do they play defense? They divide us. And how have they divided us? Literally every way you can possibly imagine. I can show it to you. Look, they got the people who are scared of the virus versus the people who aren't scared. You got the mask wearers versus the non-mask wearers. Essentials versus non-essentials. People collecting CERB versus people who aren't. Then they tried the whole racial tensions, like you saw in the United States where it caused riots. But here in the great Canadian country of Canada, we have communities that are integrated, communities that have dialogue, communities that respect each other's differences, and communities that know how to work together. So that just fell on deaf ears. But they still tried. And now what are they trying to do? Defund the police. They want to turn us against our law enforcement that is part of the community. Law enforcement that has kids at the same schools as you. Law enforcement whose friends have businesses that are closed. Law enforcement that are being made to do orders that they do not agree with, and that they cannot even look at themselves in the mirror. And they have to make a decision over collecting a paycheck and feeding their family, or upholding these draconian, unethical, and illegal orders. So they're in already a hard spot as it is. And now they want us to turn against each other when these guys are our last line of defense against this tyranny. And what do you think would happen if you defund the police? You think you just wouldn't have a police force anymore? No, they want to defund them because they're part of our community. They want to disband them, disarm them. Then they'll replace them with private military contractors. Places like Bosnia, from different UN bases around the world. These will be soldiers trained to kill men, women, and children with no allegiance to you, your community, your country, and only an allegiance to the government that pays them.
Brown shirts!
And this, worse than that, brown shirts with assault rifles, okay? And with a lot of experience in killing people. So this is what they want to bring in if you go along with the defund the police. The best way to stop COVID is to stop watching your TV. Everything on TV is a lie. Absolutely lie. Just look what they say about me on TV, first of all. It's ridiculous. Look what they say about staying healthy on TV. They tell you things like vitamin D can't boost your immunity. No, just wear a mask and take a vaccine and stay home. Don't go exercise. Don't go out in the sunshine. Don't hang out with friends and family. Don't do things that'll make you happy and healthy. No, just stay home, stay depressed, stay scared, wear your mask and take your vaccine. Yeah, they call that staying safe. And why do they want you to do that? When you comply, I'm going to go back to how the tyranny is implemented. I told you, tyranny doesn't come in one foul swoop. It comes in stages. If you throw a frog into a pot of boiling water, it's going to jump right out. If you throw that same frog into a nice warm pot and slowly boil it alive, the frog will sit there until it's dead. And that's exactly what they're doing to business owners. That's exactly what they're doing to our economy. And it started with the masks, the contact tracing, the forced quarantine, etc., moving up to this vaccine passport. And everybody says, oh, just keep complying, that's how we get out of it. No, when you comply, you get the vaccine passport, and then society becomes even worse. The moment you do not comply, for instance, you do not comply with their vaccine agenda, now they can't move forward with the next phase of their agenda. So united non-compliance is the only way forward. And that's why they killed my Instagram. But like with everything else, every time they do something to me, it backfires on them. And what happened when they took down my Instagram? The very next day I made www.realchrissky.com, and I had my own platform, my own streaming platform. It took them about 4 hours to kill that site. But then what happened once again? When every time they do something bad, something better happens. When they killed that site, a team of very wealthy, very connected, very genius web developers got upset. They rebuilt my site for me, and they put it on a private server, made it hack-proof, made it untouchable to the government, so the site's back up and running. Reverberating effect for killing my Instagram. I don't know if you guys have heard of a little place called Huff's Gym in Mississauga, Ontario. Well, they were saying they planned to stay open. They said we're not closing. They even had people stay in there overnight to prevent the police from changing the locks. The next morning, Peel Region Police sent a contingent of officers led by a sergeant with 35 years on the force. But what they didn't know was this gentleman was an avid follower of my Instagram for the last 8 or 9 months. And the day they took down my Instagram was the day they pushed him over the edge. And they sent him there with all these police to shut down the gym. And instead, when he got there, he could be seen hugging the protesters, saying, don't worry, everything's going to be fine. And he stood right in front of them and said, the pandemic is a lie, and I stand with Chris Sky. Of course, they tried to make an example out of him, and they suspended him immediately. And of course, the people, as we do, as Canadians do, we support just and true causes. There was so much public backlash, they actually had to reinstate him. So what happens when you try to stand up for yourself? The only consequence for your actions is retaining your freedom and retaining your integrity. And they want you to think that standing up for yourself is going to get you in trouble. They want you to think you're going to get arrested. They want you to think they're going to ruin your life. Well, I'm still here. They've been trying everything to me. Everything. And here I am. I'm only getting stronger. I'm only making it slowed me down, hasn't it? I made it all the way across Canada and back just in time to be here today. And I'm the only member of the Freedom Convoy, by the way, of the 50-plus guards that made it all the way from Vancouver to Montreal. The only one.
Good job! Good job!
Congratulations.
And I got a $2,000 fine. There was inflation since you did your video.
No. The fines will range. They're usually around $3,500 of toilet paper now when you try to come in. Everybody knows none of those fines are going to stand up in court. They're all a violation of your charter rights. And in order to violate your charter rights, they have to provide justification, and they have to prove there's no other way. And this is also a good point to make, that we can prove to everyone, the naysayers that believe this is about our safety and health. Take an example of one of their restrictions, and I can show you how it's not safer, but I can show you how it makes perfect sense when they're trying to control the population. For instance, let's take the hotel quarantine. So, they try to tell you, you're safer. Oh my God. What a surprise.
Just say no!
My traveling companion. He joined the convoy in Winnipeg, and he made it all the way to Toronto, and apparently he's the only other person that made it to Montreal.
They're all still waiting on the escort.
Look at where we are now.
Yeah, we gotta go. Everybody else is by
Yeah, we gotta go back there.
Make the seat for everybody. Don't forget. Oh, okay. That's awesome.
We had fun. We got footage. Good stuff.
Sorry?
Oh, wow. Joe Jark. We got a Colossus. We managed to get back. We got lost 3 times.